Hey guys, it's Paradise, and if you're looking to get the awesome Sword of Night Katana, a literal shadow katana, with one of the coolest looking unique attacks that's unblockable, then we have a guide for you here as quick as we can to show you how to get it. But do note, this does require completing the full questline of Ymir and Jolán, so there are a few steps involved in order to get this impressive weapon and a ton of other good items along the way. So if we help you out here, drop a like down below and comment to let us know, and let's not waste your time and jump right into it. So the first thing you need to do is get to the Cathedral of Manus Metyr. You can start from either the High Road Cross Site of Grace or the Morth Ruins Site of Grace if you have it. You want to head here on the map within the Morth Ruins. You'll see a small pathway leading underground. Travel all the way down from here through the tunnel until you reach an opening. Once at the opening, you can then drop down and there'll be a few enemies to defeat. For me, they died really quickly, so I'm hoping they won't be a problem for you. There's a chest to grab with a faith incantation called the Golden Arekkz, which you may as well grab since you're here, but then you need to parkour and jump down further to travel into another cave, which eventually will lead to a ladder. After climbing to the top of this ladder, you are now in Bonny Village and there's a Site of Grace to unlock. From here, open your map and place down checkpoints like I have. You're going to want to go across the bridges to the east and then follow the road all the way north until it loops around into the manor. It's a bit of a long journey, but on your mount it shouldn't be too bad. There will be enemies on the way, but just keep following this path and run past them at full speed. You can even run past the big fire boss that's on the road, so just don't stop, you don't have to fight anything. Once you reach the Church District High Road, you can rest until nighttime because there's a lava tier just over to the west near here if you want it, or skip it and go straight to the cathedral. Inside, make sure to unlock the grace point nearby because we will be fast traveling back here a lot, and open the gate and head on in. You'll see Ymir on a throne, and talking to him will start the quest. He will give you a ruins map and a whole laden necklace. But don't worry about the map, we're going to show you the next location, and this is part 1 of the questline. For this part, you will need access to the Cerulean Coast Site of Grace. You can get here very easily by going from the castle front grace point and following these arrows around this hill area and through a cave underneath to get into the river, and once you're in the river, just run south and parkour down, dodging all the enemies until you finally reach the Cerulean Coast Site of Grace. From here, simply follow these markers that I'm showing you. You will need to travel through the southern coastline and follow it around under that big giant dead dragon, and then reach the Finger Ruins of Rhea Grace Point. From here, it's a home run to the quest objective, but there are several enemies on the way to the Finger Ruins. I suggest running on your mount and trying to give those enemies a wide berth because they do cast strong magic at you. Just keep trying until you get there, and then interact with the bell to complete the first quest objective and gain the Crimson Seed Talisman, which increases your healing from tier flasks. With this, you can now fast travel back to the cathedral and talk to Ymir to get your first reward. You will gain the beloved Stardust Talisman, which vastly increases your casting speed for sorceries and incantations, but increases the damage you take. You'll also gain the next map for the next quest objective. I suggest using up all of the dialogue options for Ymir and buying the new spells from him, but you can buy them later if you want. After doing all of the talking with Ymir, run back and talk to Jolán next to the pillar. And as you can see, she has the awesome Sword of Night that we can get later on. Now we're on to part 2 of this questline. We need to get the Oh Mother gesture to unlock a hidden door to get to the next quest area. Here on the map in Bonny Village is where the gesture is located. I suggest marking this point on your map and starting from the bridge leading to the village Site of Grace. Run down the bridges and then towards your marker. It's very easy and straightforward, and you'll see the gesture here, just pick it up. After this, we then need to get to the area with the hidden door that we need to open. So we're going to have to go to the Shadow Keep from a side door. Start from the Church District High Road Grace Point and follow the road west into the side entrance of the Shadow Keep. Once you're in here, there's going to be a bunch of parkour needed. So here is the route. So this is a long journey and might take a few tries, but you want to jump down on this rooftop and then parkour and jump onto this ledge, continue running up and jump over on the right and then jump forwards. There is a mage here, so watch out, but the route I've taken is to ignore him. So keep going here and do this parkour. This one, you might drop and die a few times, but you can get it eventually. This whole run might take a few goes. Make sure to drop down and land on this ledge, go forwards and drop down this hole once again. There's another mage up ahead, so I'm just going to wait and take them out. I spam jump attacks, it works really well and does a lot of poise damage, but obviously do what works for your build. This first left is going to be important because we need to go down here, kill the bats and then progress, and do take note there's a little jump here which you don't want to miss because you could die if you fall in. Another bat on the side, but just go up this ladder and there will be a lever to pull. Once we pull this lever, it's going to lower the water level in the Shadow Keep. So we need to do this first. A whole cutscene plays out. I'm not going to let the whole thing play out here, but basically it reveals a whole area in the Shadow Keep when all the water has gone away. Now get ready, because what we're about to come up on next is a huge section with a bunch of parkour and everything like that. So a bat will sort of spawn like it did for me. I was really struggling with this guy, so hopefully you can kill him a bit easier and quicker than I did. Make sure to jump the hole there. You don't want to fall in after going to all this effort. Again, it might take a few tries, so if you do die, don't worry, you can just repeat. Once you've got the lever, you don't have to do the lever again. Continue running around, dodge the mage, go down here, and you'll actually see there is... I had to do a cut because I've already been up here before, but it's basically an elevator that will take you really, really high up. It takes like a whole minute riding this elevator, but you'll come out in this section with a new Site of Grace, so definitely touch and unlock that Site of Grace. And then there's a ladder to climb up, and this ladder takes ages to climb. It basically takes you to a whole new floor within this area. So climb up the ladder, and again, get ready. We're going to be doing some jumping and stuff like that, and dodging some enemies. You could clear the whole place out if you want, but I just run straight forwards and right up these stairs around this bookcase, and there's a hole in the wall that we want to jump through. Go right and follow it along. Once we're here, there's not that much left. It's about to get to the more difficult bit though. So another Site of Grace, so a checkpoint if you've made it there. Ride this elevator to the top, and this is where the true parkour begins, because now we're on the beams and there are bats in this area. Simply dodge the bats and just keep running. Go up this ladder. The bats shouldn't be a problem, but you might get unlucky if they hit you. Go straight forwards and right. There'll be another bat just ahead. Watch out for your lock on. Kill that bat and then walk or roll off onto this ledge and down onto this platform, through the door to the right, and there's another lift here, and we've basically made it at this point. The most difficult parts are over for this whole section. Go forwards and then around the corner, and there'll be another lift down here. Don't think you can open that door, unfortunately, but ride the lift all the way down, and we've finally made it to another Site of Grace and where we need to be. There's a Erdtree fragment here, and we want to do the new gesture, Oh Mother. If you can't find it in your list of gestures, it's the one that I'm about to highlight right here. He's like on his knees. So assign that, execute that, and it will reveal this whole area behind the wall, which is basically an entire part of the map that is sealed off. Once you're in the Skadu View area, make sure to unlock the Grace Point, and doesn't this place just look amazing even for an area within the Land of Shadow? So from here we need to get all the way down this section to the next Finger Ruin by following the main path all the way down. As you progress, dodge the enemies along the way, and there will be 2 tree sentinels, but if you keep dashing and keep running, you can avoid them without fighting. If you run far enough to lose aggro past the bridge, you can then turn back and pick up the grace point so you have a closer checkpoint. After all of this, continue down the road past all of the enemies and the finger enemies into the ruin area. Here you will find the same enemies as the previous area, and they will attack you with strong spells. I suggest using the obstacles to block spells as you get closer and closer to the bell. You may get knocked off your mount a few times, so heal up, resummon it, and keep going until you can get to the bell. Once there though, interact with it to get the Cerulean Seed Talisman, which boosts your FP restoration when using tier flasks. You've also now done part 2 of the quest, so we're on to part 3. Head back to the Cathedral and talk to Ymir to gain the next quest map. But this time, you need to make sure to do all of his dialogue options and buy any of the spells that you want from him now because he will be disappearing. Also, make sure to do all of Jolán's dialogue options too. After this has been completed, fast travel back into the Cathedral and you'll notice they have disappeared. Go up to the throne and interact with it, which will reveal a secret underground area. Make sure not to fall down, you need to go on the ladder because it's a long way. Climb all the way down and you'll find this really scary area. As you progress through this area, Knight Anna will appear to fight you. But honestly, I didn't find her too hard at all, so she was fairly easy if you cheese her with jump attacks or ranged attacks. After defeating her, you'll gain the Claws of Night, which are pretty cool, but we want to continue onwards to the end of this area where there's another bell. Using this bell will teleport you to an insane boss fight against Metyr, the Mother of Fingers. This fight took me a few tries to complete. If you aren't cheesing it with magic, you're going to need to learn her moveset. They're very telegraphed and easy to dodge once you get used to it though. I suggest learning the dodge pattern and then capitalizing with damage in between each of her combos. When she gets to around half HP, things go crazy. There's massive AoE spells going everywhere, a Beyblade spin attack and more, so just keep trying until you learn these patterns and defeat her. She actually drops a remembrance which you can use to get a staff or a colossal weapon. You can see them on the screen here. I haven't redeemed them yet, but these are your options. However, after doing this, you are now on part 4 of the questline. Fast travel back to the Cathedral, and now you're going to have to defeat Jolán and Ymir one at a time. When you interact with the throne, the fight will start and Jolán will appear behind you. She's going to attack you with her katana and occasionally do some kind of throwing dagger or spell attack, but if she catches you, her burst damage is pretty high. Other than that, she's pretty easy to defeat. Ymir, however, will summon the hand enemies to help him and spam spells at you and teleport all around the room. I suggest using ranged attacks or spells to defeat him quickly. The Blasphemous Blade's unique attack is pretty OP for this, so depending on your loadout, it could be very easy or very hard. After they have been defeated though, you now need to grab an item depending on which reward you want. Do you want the Sword of Night, or do you want to summon the Sword Hand of Knight Jolán to aid you in battle? If you want the summon, you will need the Iris of Grace. You get this from the Shadowkeep by fast traveling to the Storehouse first floor Grace Point. From here, take a left and follow the corner around and go down onto the elevator. Travel all the way to the bottom of the elevator and then take the first door to the right and then take a left going down the stairs. This will be an area filled with the gross pots. Go into the main room and turn left all the way to the end where you'll see a shiny item on the floor, which is the Iris of Grace. If you want the Sword of Night though, you will need the Iris of Occultation. To get this, you need to start at the Morth Highway South Grace Point, and then run inside the fort. As soon as you go in, immediately take a left and follow my path to jump into this small hole. When you're here, get ready because in the lower area there's an enemy you need to beat. The enemy's actually pretty easy but does hit very hard. Jump attacks worked really well for me, and after taking him out you can get the Iris of Occultation. Now return back to the Cathedral and you'll find Jolán sitting at her pillar. As said before, you can only pick one of these two rewards. The Iris of Grace will give you her as a summon, and I did actually level this up to +10 and used it on a tree sentinel. I wasn't extremely impressed, but it wasn't bad either. It looks like she can actually build up bleed on the enemy, which will do a big chunk of damage, so that's pretty cool. But if you give the Iris of Occultation, that will give you the awesome Sword of Night Katana.
No light anywhere at all. This is the night I know. Our night.
At +10, you can see this is B scaling with pure dex. It has bleed build up passively on it, it deals physical and magical damage. But not only does it look super cool as a shadow katana, the unique attack Witching Hour Slash is where it really shows off. You can hold the katana to your side as you infuse it with dark power. Holding down the button charges it for more damage and slashes, and then it will unleash a series of incorporeal attacks which cannot be blocked. It's a really awesome weapon and it's probably worth making a whole dex build around. I'm really loving it so far. But one thing to note, if you go from the Cathedral out of the west door, you can now pick up the Cherishing Fingers sorcery spell on the ground in the graveyard, and the quest line is totally complete. So there you have it, a bunch of items that you get as a reward and the awesome Sword of Night Katana. If we did help you out with this guide, drop a like down below, we really do appreciate it, and comment to let us know. But make sure you're subscribed because we'll have more Elden Ring coming your way very soon.